Well now, since I got back from my trip to North America, which some of you will have seen in my last video, I've been pretty busy trying to clear my workbench of a backlog of projects before I move on to the new things. So we'd better take a look at those today. All right, so welcome back to Fairview, everybody. All I want to do in this quick update is show you the things I've been working on to get various jobs out of the way before really focusing on some of the ideas that I came back from North America, the US and Canada, ideas that I wanted to kind of translate into the layout. So quite a few of you have probably seen this model. It's a Vollmer German HO scale kit of Neuffen station, but now within my imagined world of Fairview, the founder of the city of Fairview holidayed every summer in Germany, and when he wanted to start bringing passenger services to Fairview, he had his architects and his builders create a true to scale, a life-size copy of the Neuffen station here in Fairview. So I've been working on the model. It's one I got second hand, so I've had to replace some parts. One or two things still just need finishing, but then I've given it a complete repaint job. And as you can see here, just for the moment, and I'll explain why when we go into the train room, but just for the moment I've done a very, very simple little diorama to place the model on. Nothing is actually fixed. As you can see, lots of things just sort of temporarily put in place, and even the sign is a temporary one until I think about exactly how I want to do some of that. But all in all, it's come together quite nicely. Some 3D printed details like the Amtrak information boards. They are actually exactly to scale, these boards that I've 3D printed. But it just feels like, I think it's true of a lot of the German HO scale stuff, it's actually selectively compressed to the point where it's not really true HO scale in one sense. So it just feels like maybe that information board's a bit too big, but that doesn't matter. If I just spin things round for a second, just so that you can see the rest of the little diorama, you know, things like, again, the tree has just stood there, just to give me an idea really of how this is going to look eventually on in its finished location. Some more information signs that I've scratch built. And here's the one thing I've not done yet. When I bought this model second hand, that particular cupola, however you say it, roof piece was lost. So I'm going to do some work on scratch building something there, and in due course I'm going to do some ivy and stuff growing up just to hide any imperfections. I had hoped maybe to take this little diorama outside in my village. I live in the countryside, and just do some pictures of it with real trees and things in the background, but it's a typical dull, rainy October day here in the UK, so that idea's gone out the window really. But that's the first thing, something which I had started before I went away on my trip, and which I'm really quite pleased now to have it at the point where it's ready to go on the layout somewhere. Question mark, stand by. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a moment. We'll just slide that out of the way. because the other thing to show you, you might remember that before I went on the trip, I'd purchased some new 4-bay hopper cars, and I said I was going to give them a little bit more weathering and do some graffiti, in some cases copying some prototypical graffiti. So here we go. This is not one of the brand new ones, but they're all Walthers models, all got a fairly subtle weathering. Something I feel fine-tuning is how to make my weathering less kind of in your face. But yeah, so that's just some very, very subtle dirtying down, one piece of fairly old graffiti on one side, and then the other side is, pretty blank. Shuffle all these forward. The second one is one which I bought second-hand, so in fact these kind of rust patches on the top were already on the model. This is one of Tom P's models. Again, just some subtle weathering, a few little bits of graffiti, all hand-drawn and hand-painted. It's something I'm beginning to quite enjoy doing hand-drawn and hand-painted graffiti. So again, quite subtle, not too much in your face. I should say, by the way, any of these models, if they haven't got either metal wheel sets or KD couplers, then I replace those things at the same time as giving them a final weather. And then the last one, I mean, each of them is effectively the same car. Similar level of very, very gentle weathering with some washes and a little bit of dry brushing. Again, some hand-drawn graffiti, but that's the one which I'm particularly pleased with. This was some graffiti I'd seen on a plastics hopper that had been spotted outside a small plastics factory on the outskirts of Denver. And I've tried my best to recreate that on this model. And those three together, might be difficult to get them all in the same shot all at once where you can see what's on them. But anyway, those three together are going to make nice additions to the fleet. But I think the best thing to do now is to pick these things up and take them into the railway room, and I'll talk a bit more about how all this contributes to the bigger picture. All right, so here we go. The 3 new hopper cars have been dropped off in Fairview to be switched out, and I have temporarily at least placed the station building on the site of what is normally Fairview's yard office, not because this is going to be the final location of the station building, but just to get a sense of scale in terms of looking at how it will kind of fit into the environment, the way that Fairview is slowly taking shape. And as I say, anyway, this is not the final resting place of this model. I've hinted at this a couple of times in recent months, but there's the first suggestion that in 2025 I might be able to create a slightly bigger railway room for myself. Negotiations are ongoing, as they say on the TV news. My good lady wife, my very, very understanding wife, is beginning to be amenable to the idea of some kind of limited loft conversion, perhaps. And if that comes to fruition, then I would like to take elements that are already here in the layout. I already built it in quite a modular way, and then I would create an area for the Amtrak station kind of at the other end of a yard which would become twice as long as it currently is now, probably with one extra one extra yard track added as well. So that's why I've built myself the little diorama for the station building for the time being, because it's going to sit on a sideboard in the living room for the time being. It's not going to be housed on the main layout for now. And just to finish off today's quick video, and while we're on the topic of clearing the workbench, clearing things up, here's the view underneath the main deck of the layout, because I have now taken away 2/3 of the hidden staging. It still goes right around there, albeit the track's all gone now, and that end part is going to be cleared too. So by the end of this weekend, the plan is to have all of the lower area completely free to allow me to start to fit the Helix and redo all the hidden staging, so I have better access, can store maybe even 1 or 2 more trains than I've been able to so far, and really I hope at least get this whole side of things working much better than before. So that's it for the time being. Only a very quick update. I hope that you've found it informative and enjoyable. In many ways it's kind of more about the promise of things to come in the next couple of weeks and months, now running into the season of winter. The priority really is now to get the Helix fitted and trains once again running up from a newly reconstituted storage area and onto the main line. But we'll leave it there for today at least. Some shots as I close of the BNSF switcher, which does duties between Fairview and up to the industrial estate, has now finished switching out Fairview and is taking a service up there to Aspen Grove, because in the end it's important that we also just have some fun running some trains on the layout. So that's what I'm going to do for the rest of this weekend at least. So I'll close by wishing you all the best. As always, thank you so much for the many comments that I've received in the last month about my trip and about the various modelling plans that I've got now going forward. I hope, as always, that you're enjoying your own modelling experiences. I'm definitely moving now towards an annual layout tour, so keep your eyes out for that in the next month or so, certainly once I've got the Helix sorted. But for the time being, take care of yourselves, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.